So, hi everybody, it's Dr. Kelly, and I have with me my good friend Penny. And Penny and I are going to be talking about a little bit of her health journey, a few things that she's been going through, and we thought it would be a wonderful thing if you could go on the journey with her to see what she's thinking, why she's thinking that, and the steps that she decided to go through that lead her ultimately to better health. That's
Right.
what we're looking for. But so, Penny, why don't you start with telling me what were the thoughts going through your head? What was something that prompted you for the testing that you decided to have done?
For the thermography?
Yep.
Some of the thoughts in my head were my mom has had breast cancer twice.
Okay.
She's had two separate times. She's had a double mastectomy, and to watch her go through those steps, the first time she had chemotherapy, the second time she had radiation.
Okay. When
Okay.
did she have the mastectomy?
The first one was in 1984,
Okay.
and then just a year or so, 2 years ago, a year
Oh,
or so.
okay.
Yep, it's been real recent.
Okay. And so fear was
Oh,
maybe something that
yep,
was prompting to say, my mom, I know a lot of you are in the same boat. Someone in my family, my sister, my mother, my grandmother, somebody's had a breast cancer, and that's very scary. So, what can I do to prevent it?
right,
Right.
right.
And Penny's been working on her health for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all do when we focus on our health, it's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, and we keep getting better and we keep doing more and we keep learning more.
Yes,
But
exactly.
so tell me what you had done to learn more about your risk than for breast cancer.
So my risk, I know it is carried in genes, and I know all about epigenetics and how you can turn that stuff off with nutrition, things like that. But it still scared me because every year I get all of my yearly tests done still, and I go in for a mammogram, and I know there's risks with mammograms. I know that. But until probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was the only thing that I knew about.
Okay.
Okay. And since my mom has had breast cancer the first time, I've learned a lot about density of breasts, how you can detect if there's a problem, how hard it is to detect a problem with very dense breasts. Um, and I do have very dense, and my mammograms always came back fine. And and in the back of my head, I'm like, you need to find out, the estrogen. There's a estrogen thing with the thermography, and there's the heat, the thermal, right? And so I pulled the pin and I went and got one.
Okay. So let me recap that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've been having yearly mammograms.
Yep.
Okay. And as of thus far, although you haven't had yours this year yet,
Right.
okay, so they've been normal.
Normal.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but the other point that Penny brought up was that she has very dense breasts. So what does that mean? And dense is just how tight, how packed together the tissue is. And remember, a mammogram is X-ray. It's very intense, high level X-ray that goes through your breast tissue. So if those breast tissues are very, very tight and close together, it's hard to see anything. Some other of you may also have fibrocystic breasts, which is a little bit different than having very dense breasts, but your breasts are kind of lumpy. They have spots of thick tissue and spots that are not as thick, so they can just feel kind of lumpy bumpy. But yet that lumpy bumpy is also not what when you do a self breast exam, when you're looking for a hard little P, like a really hard P, that's what you're looking for on those self breast exams to say, ooh, that's not normal. Those two things are very different. So Penny has a fear. She has a risk because of her mom, and she wants to take her health into her own hands. So she decided to have something called a thermography done. And as she started to mention, thermography is looking at two specific things and looking at them differently than the radiograph or the mammogram can. And actually, thermography's been around much longer than mammography. Okay, but mammography has become the standard because insurance pays for it, and we're an insurance run
Right.
world. Thermography is typically still done out of your own pocket, but it is looking for changes that are happening in the breast tissue. So well before you can see that pea-sized hard nodule in a
Right.
breast on an x-ray, and with very dense breasts, they may never see that on
Right.
Penny
Right.
until it gets very large, or until you have a cyst or something else erupting on
Or
the
I
skin.
find it. Right.
Or what?
Or I find it
Or
myself
you find it.
with
Right.
self-exam.
Right. So thermography is looking at heat, okay, because blood flow, the more blood flow to the area, the hotter it is. So thermography is using a camera that is looking at heat sensitization. And then it also judges each breast on an estrogen level or a hormone level.